Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. It seems like the Cheesecake Factory is getting a new financial recipe for success, or maybe just a refresh on their existing ingredients. Stick around because we're about to break down what this means for the company and its investors. Before we dive in, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you are subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below where we dive even deeper into these filings. Alright, so what we have here is an 8K filing from the Cheesecake Factory Incorporated. These filings are usually for big, important events that the public needs to know about right away. In this case, it looks like they've signed a new loan agreement. This is essentially about a major update to their borrowing arrangements. They've entered into a fifth amended and restated loan agreement. Think of it like renegotiating the terms of a big credit card or a mortgage. This new agreement is dated the 26th of March 2026 and it replaces their previous one from back in October 2022. The key players here are JPM Chase Bank, NA, as the main agent, along with Bank of America Wells Fargo, and BMO Bank as co-agents. These are all major banks, so it shows they're dealing with serious financial institutions. Now let's talk about the money. This new credit facility is for $400 million. That is a substantial amount, giving them a lot of flexibility. What is really interesting is that this facility has an increase feature. This means they could potentially borrow an additional $200 million if they need it, bringing the total to a possible $600 million. They also have sublimits for things like letters of credit, which are like guarantees for certain transactions, and for swingline loans, which are short-term loans. The maturity date for this facility is the 26th of March 2031, so they have a good long runway with this new debt. When it comes to the cost of borrowing, they have a couple of options. The first option is tied to something called the term SOFR rate. SOFR stands for Secured Overnight Financing Rate, and it is a common benchmark for interest rates. This rate is then adjusted by an applicable margin which depends on their net adjusted leverage ratio. This margin can range from 1.00% to 1.50%. The other option is a prime rate based interest. This involves the highest of a few different benchmark rates, plus an applicable margin that ranges from 0.00% to 0.50%. They also have to pay a fee on the unused portion of the credit line, which varies based on that same net adjusted leverage ratio, from 0.125% to 0.225%. So, the interest they pay will fluctuate based on how much debt they have relative to their earnings. Now, these are the crucial financial health checks they have to pass. They have two main financial covenants. First, their ratio of net adjusted debt to EBITDA, that is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, and rent, cannot exceed 4.25 to 1.00 basically. Their debt can't be more than about 4.25 times their operational earnings. Second, their EBITDA to interest and rent expense must be at least 1.9. 0 to 1.00, this means their earnings need to be almost twice their interest payments and rent. If they fail these tests, it could trigger a default on the loan. Beyond those financial tests, there are also general rules they have to follow. These covenants restrict things like taking on more debt, paying out dividends to shareholders, making certain investments or acquisitions, creating liens on their assets, selling off major parts of the business, or merging with other companies. If they break these rules, the lenders could demand that all the money borrowed immediately be paid back. This is pretty standard for large corporate loans designed to protect the lenders. An important detail here is that this new credit facility is unsecured. This means there is no specific collateral backing the loan. However, some of their key subsidiaries have provided guarantees on an unsecured basis. The purpose of this new facility is for general corporate purposes, which includes things like paying dividends, buying back their own stock, and making acquisitions. So this loan isn't for a super specific project, but rather for overall company flexibility and shareholder returns. This second item in the filing basically just points back to the first item. It is just confirming that this new loan agreement creates a direct financial obligation for the company, as we've already discussed. Now let's put on our Warren Buffett hat and think about what this all means. The Cheesecake Factory, operating in the consumer cyclical restaurant space with a solid market cap of $2.7 billion, is clearly in a growth or at least a stability phase. The fact that they've secured a new $400 million credit facility with the potential for another $200 million tells us they're looking ahead and planning for the future, whether that is for expansion, stock buybacks, or weathering economic uncertainties. It's noteworthy that they just reported Q4 revenue of $961.6 million, which was above expectations, and they've been recognized by Fortune for 13 straight years. These are positive signs of consistent performance and reputation. Securing new credit, especially when you are already doing well, can provide a significant advantage in a competitive market. However, we need to look closely at the covenants. The net adjusted leverage ratio of 4.25 to 1.00 and an EBITDA to interest and rent expense of 1.90 to 1.00 are the key metrics to watch. If their earnings dip, or if they take on too much additional debt beyond this facility, they could run into trouble with these covenants. This is especially important in the restaurant industry, which can be sensitive to economic downturns. The unsecured nature of the facility, while common for established companies, means lenders are relying heavily on the company's overall financial health and the subsidiary's guarantees rather than specific assets. The news about Cheesecake Factory securing this new credit facility aligns with recent positive developments like the launch of their new app, which is even offering a free slice of cake for downloads by the 30th of April. This shows a multifaceted approach to business securing robust financial backing while also engaging customers directly. Major institutional holders like FMR, LLC, and BlackRock, Inc., holding significant stakes, over 14% and 13% respectively, indicate strong institutional confidence, which is often a lagging indicator of management's capabilities and future prospects. In conclusion, the Cheesecake Factory Incorporated appears to be in a strong financial position, evidenced by this new substantial credit facility and recent positive revenue reports. They are proactively managing their capital structure and have the financial flexibility to pursue strategic initiatives. The primary risk to monitor will be their ability to consistently meet the financial covenants tied to this debt, especially in a potentially volatile economic climate. But overall, with strong institutional backing and consistent operational success, they seem to be baking up a recipe for continued growth. Alright, that is our breakdown of the Cheesecake Factory's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching, see you next time.